On Tuesday morning in Birmingham, Keely Hodgkinson crossed the line in 1 minute, 57.28 seconds, and she looked like she had barely had to push herself to do it. A little later, Audrey Werro matched the moment with 1 minute, 57.83. Then Femke Bol, now racing under the surname Bol-Broeders, came through in 1 minute, 59.96. Three of the most talked about names in women's middle distance running stepped onto the track at Alexander Stadium, did precisely what they came to do, and walked straight back off it. All three have booked their place in the semifinals, and the race so many fans have been waiting months for is now just 2 days away. This is day 2 of the 2026 European Athletics Championships, a competition that runs from the 10th through the 16th of August. For the first time in the 92-year history of this event, it is being staged in a British city, and Birmingham has taken on that role. Of everything on the schedule, the women's 800 meters is the race most fans have circled in red. The opening round happened on Tuesday, the semifinals arrive on Thursday, and the final is set for Friday night. Before going further, it helps to clear up a small point of confusion. Femke Bol now competes under the name Femke Bol-Broeders. She is the same athlete, a 2-time world champion in the 400-meter hurdles and the current holder of the world record in the indoor 400 meters. Only her surname has changed. But 2026 also brought a much bigger change than her name. She walked away from the hurdles, the event that made her famous, and moved to the 800 meters instead. For an athlete with that kind of hurdling pedigree, that is not a small gamble. Tuesday marked her very first appearance in this new event at a major championship. Start with the first heat, because that is where Hodgkinson raced. As the reigning Olympic champion, she drew the earliest heat of the morning, and her job was straightforward: stay near the front and advance. She ran with total composure, moved exactly when she chose to move, and took the win in 1 minute, 57.28. Italy's Eloisa Coiro followed in second at 1 minute, 57.56, with Germany's Smilla Kolbe third at 1 minute, 57.80. Those are quick numbers for a heat this early in a championship. Nobody in that field was coasting. Then it was Werro's turn. The Swiss athlete arrives in Birmingham as the fastest woman in the world this year, and she raced like she knew exactly what that meant. For most of the 2 laps, she sat at the front of the pack, kept things under control, and never let herself get boxed in by the runners around her. In the final stretch, she simply eased away from the field and crossed in 1 minute, 57.83. Qualification secured, and at no point did she look like she was under any real pressure. There was a tougher story for Switzerland in that same heat. Veronica Vancardo ran a personal best of 1 minute, 58.20, and still only managed 4th place. Not enough for an automatic qualifying spot. That single result says a lot about how deep this field has become this year. A lifetime best performance wasn't enough to get her through. Bol-Broeders ran out of lane 2, and she followed the same game plan she's used all season in this new event. She went straight to the front early to avoid getting caught in traffic, ran without any pushing or jostling, and controlled the heat from start to finish, winning in 1 minute, 59.96. That's noticeably slower than the other 2 heats, but it didn't need to be fast. She was never asked to go any quicker than that. Here's why Friday's final has the potential to be one of the best races of the entire year. Audrey Werro is only 22 years old, and back in June, at the Stockholm Diamond League meeting, she ran 1 minute, 53.98, a time that made her the 3rd fastest woman in history over 800 meters. 3 weeks later in Paris, she went even faster, clocking 1 minute, 53.80, currently the fastest time in the world this year. That mark sits her within roughly half a second of the European record, a time of 1 minute, 53.28 set by Jarmila Kratochvílová of the former Czechoslovakia, a record that has stood since 1983, more than 4 decades ago. Hodgkinson was also in that Stockholm race. She ran 1 minute, 54.33, a new British record and the fastest time of her career, and she still came second. That isn't a small thing to process. She's spoken openly about it since. "I don't really think I did anything wrong in that race," she said. "I didn't know what she was capable of at that point. I think that just shows you can't underestimate anybody." She also refused to frame it as a setback. "That was a British record. It was my fastest time ever, and I'm going to remind myself of that because I'm proud of that." She has every reason to feel proud. Hodgkinson's resume already includes Olympic gold from Paris in 2024, a European outdoor title from Munich in 2022, and another from Rome in 2024. Earlier this year, she broke the world indoor record with a time of 1 minute, 54.87 in Leuven, then went on to win the world indoor title in Turin. But there's still one gap on her list. She has never won a major championship on home soil. Her only previous big event in Britain was the 2022 Commonwealth Games, held at this same Alexander Stadium, where she took silver. That's the result she's here to change. She skipped the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow this summer specifically to arrive in Birmingham in peak condition, saying that winning a title here would mean nearly as much to her as her Olympic gold in Paris. She isn't approaching Werro as a threat to be managed either. She sounds like she genuinely wants the fight. "I think it'll bring out the best in me," she said. "It's really interesting to look at 2 years ago and how the standard in Europe has come on. It just means that a European title is just as important and just as fun as a world title at this point." The numbers back her up. The 5 fastest women over 800 meters in the world this year are all European, and Broeders sits right in the middle of that group. In her first full season at this distance, she has already run 1 minute, 55.60 in Paris, making her the 3rd fastest woman in the world this year. She's finished behind Werro in Paris and behind Hodgkinson in London, and she hasn't beaten either of them yet. But she keeps getting faster, and that's the part that should worry her rivals. 2 more names belong in this conversation. France's Anaïs Bourgoin took bronze at the previous European Championships in Rome and has since lowered her own national record to 1 minute, 55.65. Poland's Anna Wielgas, the reigning European indoor champion and a bronze medalist from Munich in 2022, is the kind of racer who thrives when a final turns tactical and slow. If nobody wants to take the lead on Friday, she becomes very dangerous. For women in this field have already dipped under 1 minute, 56 seconds this season, which is an unusually deep spread for a continental championship. There's also a record hardly anyone is talking about. The championship record for the women's 800 meters is 1 minute, 55.41, set by Olga Minieva of the Soviet Union. Both Werro and Hodgkinson have already run more than a second and a half faster than that this year alone. 3 contenders, 3 heats, 3 clean qualifications, no mistakes, and no injuries. Hodgkinson posted the fastest time of the morning. Werro looked the most relaxed doing it. Broeders looked the most in control, which says a great deal for someone still finding her feet in this event. The semifinals arrive Thursday. Then, on Friday night at Alexander Stadium, the Olympic champion, the world's fastest woman this year, and the hurdler turned 800-meter runner will all line up on the same start line together.